Common Council. Our first item would be approval of the agenda. There is one change that we do need to make. That will be on the consent agenda. Item 8.1 is actually to set a public hearing. It's not the consideration to approve that item tonight. So item 8.1 on the consent agenda just needs a public hearing set. So if there's a motion on the agenda, we just need to reflect that change. Is there a motion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd move to approve the agenda with the change to 8.1 reflecting setting a public hearing.
Okay, that is a first by Kevin and a second by Jim to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no. Okay, we have an agenda. If we could all please stand and remove cover for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, that brings us down to announcements and praise. I would first like to praise our Heavenly Father. All those who care to join in, please do so. Father in heaven, how great is your love. We praise you again and again. Please send us an abundance of your Holy Spirit so we can love you with our whole hearts, our whole minds, our whole beings. Lord God, we ask that in a world where there are so many alternatives to truth, to goodness, to beauty, help us to choose you, to choose the truth. You will never abandon us, and help us to never abandon you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Come, Holy Spirit. Okay, under announcements, we do have item 4.1 that was about the Sturgis TT race airing on Fox. That already happened, so it was on Saturday. Hopefully everyone did tune in to watch that. With adding this to the agenda, I guess we were thinking everyone would look at the agenda before Saturday and watch it. So hopefully everyone tuned into that. And then we would definitely like to thank all of our staff, all of our community partners, everyone involved in making the rally what it is. We've got another rally in the books and looking forward to next year. We do have the Community Appreciation Picnic. That'll be Wednesday, August 21st from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and that'll be at Rally Point. And it's the chamber who hosts that. I think that's all I have for announcements and praise. Does anyone on council have anything?
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback that too and thank city staff for everything. You put on a heck of a show for what little bit we have. So again, thank you very much. And also I'd like to welcome the Black Hills Special Service Group for being here tonight too. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all. Yes. Oh, okay. What's the time of the road closure? Then you'll have to remind me.
5 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Till 1:30.
We have an overflow this year of Cool Deadwood Nights coming out of Deadwood into Sturgis. So we did approve a road closure for that, for them to have an event here in town. So as Rick said, the road closure will be starting at 5 a.m. And is it just Main Street for the 1st to 3rd? Okay. All right. The same day as the picnic, so it's August 21st as well. So there'll be a lot going on that day.
And they'll park on Main so citizens can come down and look at the cars.
All right. Anyone else have any announcements or praise? Anyone from the public with any announcements or praise? Do you need to come on up? Sure, come on up.
I'd like to say, you guys did a great job with the rally. I come pretty much every year. Keep getting better.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, hello. Hey, I would first like to introduce myself. My name is T.C. Thorstensen. I'm out of Arizona, but I originally grew up in South Dakota. I spent 24 years in South Dakota by McLaughlin, Mobridge, Summer Rapid City, and then 12 years in Wyoming, last 30 years in Arizona. But the reason I'm here today is that what I do for a living is I train buffalo and teach people about education, safety, and that's a major thing. What I've done in my life, for the most part, is tried, train, and educate people buffalo. The first buffalo I trained, I raced him against racehorses. He won 76 of 92 races in North America at 110 yards. The next good buffalo I had, he was in 9 movies, 40 national commercials, National Geographic twice, Sports Illustrated once, Western Horsing 4 times, 28 trips to Canada, 4 trips to Old Mexico, 6 boat rides at Catalina Island. He was a mascot for Arena football team in Phoenix for 12 years. Took him to 3 world championships, have a Super Bowl ring for my buffalo. A college football team in Arkansas for 4 years. Entertained the rodeo circuit 3 times. I performed over 3,000 to 4,000 rodeo performances. Also, my buffalo is on the new nickel, the new 5-cent piece. This happened about 15 years ago. It's Washington, D.C. They had a big ceremony there about my buffalo being on the nickel. And 2 months later, the Speaker of the House came to my place in Cave Creek. His name is Joe Boehner, the Speaker of the House at the time, to take pictures with my buffalo. My proposal is to have a buffalo in town, like a mascot for Sturgis Bike Rally. He's a calf. I had him in town for a little bit, first part of this week. A lot of people took pictures of him. And I think that would be a very positive thing for the town, because it makes my heart hurt when I see people get off their bikes or get out of their cars and walk into a buffalo herd to take pictures, and that's getting people killed and hurt. I don't want that to happen. I don't think you want that. I want all the bikers to get home safe. What my proposal is, if we had a buffalo here, my buffalo, I'd do it free at my expense, put him close to Main Street in a little corral, and then people can take pictures. They can get their joys by touching the buffalo instead of walking in the park and getting hurt. I think it'd be a very positive thing for Sturgis. It'd be a positive thing for the town, and it'd be a great deal for the bike rally. I don't want to see anybody getting hurt by buffalo, and get everybody home safe and sound. Does anybody have some questions? I even have the buffalo out in the truck if you want to see him. I'll bring him in here for you.
Okay. Well,
But I think that if, with somebody that sells corral in town, they could put up a couple corral panels. I'm sure they'd do it for free. If you put a sign that says sponsored by whoever's got the corral. I'm coming all the way to Arizona at my expense to hopefully save people's lives. Also, I wrote a book, and since I'm from South Dakota, I wrote a book, in one of the chapters that says that the chapter is Sturgis, you gotta go to the bike rally. So, but it's about the book too, and it's about mainly about saving people and teaching people education about buffalo, because these people from Maine, people from a lot of states that you wouldn't even believe that you'd think they'd be more knowledgeable, when they walk out to get a selfie with a buffalo, they don't know what chance they're taking on, with the chance of getting killed. Now, you guys as a town and a rally, the reason I'm coming to Sturgis is because there's a lot of people coming to one spot. I'm also planning on proposing the same thing in Yellowstone Park, to do work out there for a couple months to try to save people's lives. It's about saving people's lives and giving back to the public, and I think that this is a great spot to do it. It could be done easily, it could be done cheap, and it's all free to the town of Sturgis.
well, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time to come up here with that announcement and proposal. It's something that, I mean, I'm sure this council could consider. Maybe you can submit some kind of proposal in writing or something to us.
I could do that
but,
later, I just
yeah.
didn't have it with me at the time. It's
Sure.
kind of come up on the spur of the moment on this part, because we're coming through town,
Sure.
And we've been in town for the whole week for the bike rally, and you guys did a great job, as always.
Well, I'll take that as an announcement and praise too, that you enjoy coming to rally and appreciate it. So thank you so much
Okay.
for the information.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I guess if that's it for announcements and praise, that'll bring us to the oh, Bonnie? Okay, come on up.
I just wanted to thank Jody and commend his officers. I had a weird situation over, this is Saturday night to Sunday, in which some idiot smashed a whole lot of glass, beer bottles, liquor bottles, unopened ginger ale, just thrown so it would explode, all over my street for half a block, but in the middle of the block. And I started cleaning up, and then I thought, you know, this could be tied to some other incidents in town, I don't know. So I called dispatch and said, you know, I just want to report this. And they sent guys who helped me sweep the street. And, you know, when guys go into law enforcement, they don't do it for the thrill of sweeping streets, but they spent an hour, easily an hour, sweeping up piles of shattered glass with me and got it down till I could handle what was left. And I just want to say thank you for your guys being so willing and such good sports. I mean, they came with brooms, they came with dustpans, they came with garbage cans, and helped me do it. So thank you, Jody. And I didn't get names. It was getting dusk, but pat their backs.
Thank you, Bonnie. And thank you, Chief. I know Chief's guys and Rick's guys and the rest of our staff are always willing to go above and beyond. So thank you for that. All right, that'll bring us down to, another announcements and praise.
Yes, I'd like to address the council if I could, please.
Is this announcements or praise or non-agenda matters?
Non-agenda matter.
Okay, we're getting to here right now.
Oh,
Give
I
me
thought
1
you were
second.
on right now.
No,
Okay.
getting there.
All right.
All right, so that brings us to our non-agenda matters. So in this section, we do allow the public to come forward with any matters that are not currently on the agenda. If you do have something to address council with, if you could come forward, state your name, whether or not you're a resident. If you could keep your comments to 3 minutes or less and keep them respectful. Sorry about that.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm not sure if the people watching can.
Which one do I speak in?
Is the green light on that? On the mic?
This one?
And if the green light is on,
No, can you hear me?
yes, that's great.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I spoke to you about 3 months ago. My name is Bryce Flint. I'm a resident, been here for about 45 years. I previously told the council, I thought each of you that had been elected by the people had the best interest of the city at heart. I retract any hint that might include those persons not elected by the people. Some of you that were not elected by the people appear to many of us in the city to be trying to destroy the city. A few months ago, I spoke to you regarding the issue of city administrator and the importance of professional management for our city. You had nothing in place. You still have done nothing more than kick the can down the road. That was 3 months ago. Now I hear a cabal type of group are trying to usurp the legislative power of the city council. I hope there's enough council backbone to stop these attempts. Is it true, Ms. Mayor, that our mayor, our former mayor, the city attorney, and the former mayor's sister, along with others, are trying to take over and manage the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally? If it is true, or any part of that's true, and I've heard it from several sources, have you lost your minds? Don't you recall the history of SMRI and what it did to this city? There's been postings by our mayor talking about a hostile environment, pointing to everybody but herself. Mayor, who and what? Explain to us, the citizens. To assert something is happening and have no facts or no evidence means nothing. You're making it up as far as I'm concerned. Actions and atmosphere of those who have created the unrest. You talk about that. Mayor, who? What did they do? You didn't tell anybody. You just posted something. When is not accepting bad legal advice unrest? Is suggesting the city attorney is not competent in his advice on unrest? Should you all accept suggestions from the city attorney that does not constitute legal advice, but rather is heavy-handed pressure on duly elected representatives of the people? How many tens of thousands of dollars did the city attorney cost us with his bad advice on the city manager election? How many times has he lied to the council? Mayor, this one's on you. A true leader leads. A fake leader tries to blame failure on everyone else. Your style of leadership shows me the latter style. As a long-time citizen of this city, I ask that you should take seriously and put the city's best interests first for once. You should resign, take your confidant in arms with you, let the elected representatives of the people make the decisions. That's why we elected them and not you.
Thank you, Mr. Flint. I think there's a lot of information that you're missing. And in the letter that you're referring to that I put out, it was addressing resignations, staff resignations, and that's all it was concerning. And so if you would speak to staff members, I'm sure you would get all your proof there, and I didn't feel it was my place to go into any detail about anything in a letter like that. It was to put, I'm just responding to the comments, not specifically to you. So anything I put out there was to address everything that was being posted online and out in the media. And so it was to put some facts out there as to why the resignations came in. So that was the purpose of the letter. All right, I see we have someone else looking to speak. Mr. Herschrud?
Yes, my name is David Herzrud. I'm a resident of Sturgis, probably about as long as Bryce, I think, probably. I think we came about the same time. Anyway, I don't like the idea of being here this evening. But I received a number of phone calls today from people that I know in the community who asked me what the hell was going on with the city. And of course, I didn't know what was going on. So I took some time, did some reading, did some checking, and what I found concerned me deeply. I've been involved with numerous organizations in this community over the years. I've been on the city council. I've been on the chamber board a couple of times. I've been on Meade 46-1 school board. And I could go on to a list of a whole lot of other organizations that I've been involved in. And one thing I have found out in all my years in serving with them is when things start to go to hell, when the job that the mayor has is not being fulfilled, it can have dire consequences. I remember a number of years ago when I first came on the council, we had a mayor by the name of Maury LaRue, who some of you will remember. Maury was probably the best mayor that this city has ever had. And after we hired a city manager, and even before that, Maury told me one day that his job as mayor was to keep the council focused. First and foremost, to keep the council focused on doing the work and the job they were elected to do, working for the citizens of Sturgis. And what I found today, after talking to people and doing some research on my own, was some things that disturbed me greatly. Very honestly, if you have a sports team and you're being outplayed and outmaneuvered, you don't go blame the players. And that's where I think we are now. The mayor needs to be above all that. The mayor needs to lead. If the mayor chooses not to lead, if they abdicate that responsibility, then the mayor has to do one of two things. They have to fess up to it and figure out some way to right the ship, or they need to get somebody in that will do it and handle it. Let me finish.
Okay, just to let you know, you're at your 3 minutes already, but yes, you can finish.
Okay. This city cannot sustain a split in city government. The fact that we've had a number of people leaving city government, the people that are running it, I'm particularly upset about the fact that Lisa's leaving. She came on board when I was on the council, probably one of the most valuable employees we've ever had. She's leaving. That hurts. So I would hope, and I'm directing this to you, Mayor, you have a job responsibility. You have to live up to it. And going on social media, having all of that stuff out there, is not the way to do it. All you're doing is driving a bigger wedge between the council and the people of this community. And quite frankly, we don't deserve it.
Thank you for your comments. I will make some corrections, particularly about me putting anything on social media, because everyone that knows me knows I post nothing on social media. So anything, Mr. Hirschrod, that you are seeing on social media was posted by other people, not by me. So I will say that. And I will also say that everything that I have been doing here has been trying to right the ship that was already turning over. And I am pretty sure that all of our city staff and most people on council could attest to that. So that is all that I will say. And we got someone else.
I'll say a few things. This is Dave Martinson, and I'm a resident of Ward 2 and a former city council member. And I certainly do agree with the comments that should anything be on social media? No. I always used to tell the people on the city council when I was city council president, they would get very upset because this is on social media and this is on social media, and I said, don't even look at it. And also, there's been times too, particularly when it was like, are we going to have a rally during COVID, that we got in a tremendous amount of hate mail and email that was very disturbing. And I always said, well, if it starts with, dear, I'm not going to say the rest, then perhaps you shouldn't read anymore. And so I'm very much against social media. There's no question about that. At the same time, the mayor is saying that things that are on social media, it's not things that she posted on social media. I would imagine that's probably true, would be my guess. And yes, we do have problems right now. And I think that all the comments within the community are not helping the problems. I think the problems perhaps at times are being overstated. And I think we've got a runaway mentality within our community right now that everybody's like, oh, everything is going on with the city is bad. And that has snowballed, and it's continued to snowball. And it's not something that's a good thing. And yes, there are problems. I mean, there's no question about that. But I think I do have quite a bit of faith that with the present people we have, you know, and Jim and I have talked about a lot of things. I have the utmost respect for him, as I do with Tony. And I think between the mayor and the city council, I think the ship can be righted. I mean, yes, I think there were some problems. I think there's some financial problems. And Kevin has been excellent about trying to fish that out and try to figure out what's going on. But I think that we all need to try to also calm down and be supportive of the mayor and the city staff and also the city council. And as far as Lisa going, I think it's awful that Lisa's going. And I talked to her today, and I talked to her about it. And I don't think she would mind me sharing this. She was like, well, you know, if I take this other job, I'm going to have much more time to spend with my family. That sounds like a pretty valid reason to me. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other non-agenda matters? Okay, that'll bring us down to item 5.2, and this is a citizen request, and it is regarding
Mayor?
Avalanche Road concerns.
May I
Yes.
make I'd like to make another non-agenda moment, at least, if I might. I had a call from someone, and in fact, it came up at a meeting I was at, and they want to make, and I don't know, being new, I'm not sure when this happens, but considering the financial issues that we are facing, the endowment and the charity that has been given to by this city after the rally, I assured them that that was something the city council would have to take into consideration, certainly because of the lack of funds. But I want to make sure that it's been made public so that people are aware we are, in fact, looking at that. And it's not something probably that we'll be able to do because of where we are financially.
I'd agree with that, Jim,
Thank you.
absolutely. So, sorry about that. Okay, so now moving on to item 5.2, the citizen request, and it's regarding Avalanche Road concerns.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Verhey. My concern is with Avalanche Road going up to the dump. I understand it is a county-maintained road, but the condition has gotten abysmal. The road condition is terrible. 90% of the traffic on that road is going to the city dump. I mean, there's so much road hazards from people not covering their loads. The road is just so washboard. There's multiple accidents. Somebody's going to end up getting killed on that road if something doesn't happen in getting it in better condition. And that is my concern.
Well, thank you for to bring that concern to the council. I know with developments going on in that area, I believe there are some plans to improve
Well, that
that
was always
road.
my understanding is that when a development came in, like did below our campground there on Avalanche Road, that normally the developer pays to have those main roads paved, but I never seen that happen there, so.
So Twisted Oak Road that runs perpendicular to there, I mean, that carries extra traffic up that road too. I know you guys know how much traffic that road carries, but it's a dangerous road. I mean, you can go up there right now. I should have took pictures. We were running late, but there's trash along that road continually, and it's a city dump. I mean, something has to be done.
Right.
It affects our business dearly.
Sure. Well, kind of like you mentioned, it is county-owned right now, so the city can't
But the
technically
city dump
take
is on the
over.
road. I mean, there's got to be a
I
joint
believe the
effort
city
between
has
the.
some responsibility for
Right.
that
Most
road
of it.
because of the traffic is for the city dump.
Right. Well, and like I mentioned, there are improvements in the
They've
works
said
for
that
that
for 5
for
years.
the
so.
road.
Thank
I
you.
know. Well, thank you guys.
Yep.
Did anyone on council have any questions for them? I mean, it is an agenda item, so. we
I
could-
might ask, have you approached the county about
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
And what's their response?
Their response is they don't have the equipment to maintain paved roads.
And there's multiple priorities within the county, and that one is not it, because in their feeling is, again, it's the city dump traffic.
It should be a joint effort between the county and the city. The city dump is right there. You have a pump house right there. You have property that's, I think, been made part of the city at this point. I mean, on Twisted Oak Road, is that not true? Or is that,
They're in city limits, yes.
So then that whole road, that part of the road would be city, going up to that at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
I mean, I ask if you have time, please drive up that road. It's a dangerous road.
Thank you, I know.
Thank you.
Come on up, Bonnie.
Have you driven that road lately?
I drive it all the time. I go up to the Rebel site all the time.
I do too. It's incredibly washboard. It's really easy to get a wheel hop going, even if you're not exceeding the speed limit. Just trying to get the traction up the hill. If I go slow enough to not wheel hop, I have trouble getting the traction up the hill. So then I have to take a run at it. That gives me a wheel hop. I have to support what they're saying. It's a disaster, and we need to do something to provoke the county to share with us or do whatever we can. I understand our finances, but I'm somebody who hauls my own stuff to the dump. I don't dump it at the recycle, but it's hard, and it's hard on my vehicle.
Oh, I hear you there. I can't put a time frame on anything for that road, but there are plans, right?
But a priority.
Right, there
There
is.
is. Will be pursued.
Yep, there is. It's in the works.
Mayor, may we ask, I'd be curious what Rick would have to say about that. Mr. Bush?
Rick, do you have any comments to add?
Somebody, I mean, if this is the issue, then we have to go to the county, I suppose. And you must have done that.
So yeah, we have had some meetings. We're not at a stage where we're completed, but we have had meetings with the county on how the city will end up taking up ownership of that road. It is right now a county road. If the council directs me to go spend the taxpayer money on a county road, I'll certainly do that. But yeah, it is in the works. We've had initial conversations with them on how that transfer of ownership and maintenance happens. I know they do maintenance on it. We've mowed the ditches on it this year. There are things that are being done cooperatively between city and county. But as far as any blading and mag watering, the city has not done any. That'd be like me saying that the county should take care of Sly Hill. That's a city road. We take care of it. And as far as I know, that's been my direction thus far. Like I said, if the council wants me to do more, we certainly can.
Thanks, Rick. Okay. Any other discussion on that? Okay. That'll bring us down to, well, looks like we have nothing under informational reports, so it'll go down to mayor's report. And we have some payroll. Lisa.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight you have just a payroll change for Tyrell Droppers. He has completed all the necessary Danner certifications to be a wastewater collections operator. So this is just a change in pay per our collective bargaining agreement.
Perfect. Any questions for Lisa on that?
Congrats to Ty for doing this.
All right. And that brings us down to 7.2 is the June sales tax report. Adam?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the general 2% sales tax in the month of June, it was 9.8% higher than June of 2023. Sales for the first 6 months of 2024 were 0.57% higher than the same time period in 2023. January through June represented 41% of total sales in 23. As you can see, I mean, we are finally catching up and surpassing last year, so that's great news for the 2%. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, we'll just see that trend, keep raising. And I mean, I'm pretty happy with the way things are moving. With the tourism sales tax, it's an additional 1% sales tax. It's charged for all alcohol, hotel, restaurant, and similar sales. For the month of June 2024, these tourism-related sales were 3.3% lower than June of 2023. Sales for the first 6 months of 2024 were 2.8% lower than the same time period in 2023. January through June represented 37% of total sales in 2023. And so that one is trending a little bit lower, but I still have hopes we can see that rise too. But we just kind of got to wait and see how the summer months go. But overall, we're still doing pretty good. So especially compared to the beginning of the year. Any
Great.
questions?
Questions for Adam? Okay, thank you, Adam. That, oh, sure.
Want to speak in the mic?
I like the way you presented that because it was really easy to see and it was easy to do a quick mental math on how much ahead, how much behind. That chart works very nicely. My question is, when we see that we're down like that, particularly in the triple B, do we have any speculation? And maybe my question isn't just for Adam, but can we speculate at all as to why that is? Is there anything, any corrective action we should take to make sure that it's up for the last half of the year? Is it weather? Do we have any sense of why that's down? Don't everybody look at Adam.
I don't know that anyone can answer your question.
I would,
Yeah.
just a shot in the dark, Bonnie, maybe just the economy. Maybe everybody's just tightening up a bit.
Yeah.
That's a shot in the dark.
My thoughts would go the same way. I mean, people just aren't, they're coming, but they're not staying the night. They're not staying in the hotels or eating out as much. And so, they're obviously coming through, but, they're just not doing some of those as much as last year. And it's only, 2.8% lower,
Right.
so it's still marginal. I mean, we'd love to see it, be better, but, so.
Well, I know for me, it's about the economy, stupid. It's all about the economy for me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not even eating out right here as much as I used to.
And Bonnie, I talked to some vendors during rally, and a lot of them said, one, it's the 85, is next year, so it's a year before a 5 or a 0. The other one, they said it's an election year and the economy. They said they figured numbers were going to be down for them too. So it's not just the city, and I'm with Adam. Hopefully things roll better for us through the rest of the year. But I think that, like Jesse said, I think the economy's the big one.
Well, and that's the response I wanted to prompt is that, I think it's probably the economy, but I don't count on me and my perspective. It's pretty limited, but to hear that the vendors were feeling some of that lag as well. And, then I forget that, okay, we had rally, and if people were holding back on rally this year because it's 85 next year, that's gonna hold a little bit back as well. But I think too, maybe the election year might be having an impact in that people just don't know what's going to come next, so they're keeping it in their pocket until it's more apparent. But thank you for that. I mean, that's, when we just say, oh, it's down 2%, when you talk about the perspectives and the negative implications with no explanation at all, that leaves people who aren't paying attention, like those of us who are here are trying to what could be causing it, and it leaves it in the dark. So thank you for responding.
Bonnie, I might mention also a business that I'm involved in Sturgis, which has been very successful after COVID. This year, because of the election and the uncertainty, the buyers, which are international actually, are not, they're getting questions answered and asked, but they really haven't done any buying, and the decision has been, we've been able to keep up on inventory, so we don't have to buy any more stuff, but we haven't been making any sales either.
Well, maybe it points more to that. I mean, maybe the economy is feeding off of the uncertainty, and the rally is feeding off, maybe uncertainty is the key word, the operative word in this case, but thank you.
That's how we count it.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you.
Okay. That'll bring us down to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that anyone on council would like to see removed for discussion? Any items on the consent agenda that anyone in the public would like to see removed for discussion?
Can I just ask a question about one? It doesn't need to be removed? Or does it need to be removed to ask a question?
If you're asking a question about the content of it, then yes, it would need to be removed.
Okay, 8-1.
Okay. That is a request to move 8.1, which is a consideration to set a public hearing for a voluntary annexation. If there are no other items looking to be removed, is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda with the removal of 8.1 for discussion.
Okay, that was a first by Ruth
I'll second.
and a second by Nick to approve the consent agenda. Item 8.1. All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no. Okay, those items are approved, and that will bring us to item 8.1, which is consideration to set a public hearing on a voluntary annexation. What's your question, Bonnie?
Well, I was trying to figure out what property that is because I was out there looking, and of course, when I'm out there, I can't use my computer. And so my question is that the Murray property out there? Is that what that is? Is what was the Murray farm? That is right at the T of Dolan Creek? Okay. Because I found nothing that had, I couldn't find anything that had a 2560 number on it. And I read all the mailboxes, and so, but are there, so there are no houses between the Dolan Creek Road and, except for the Murray? Is that right?
I believe there's just the one.
Okay, so maybe when I was seeing houses, that's what I was trying to remember what the picture said, and when I was out there, then I came back and looked at the picture, but maybe I was past that end point on it where the road connects there. Maybe I was past that when I started seeing houses, and then I get myself confused. Just wanted to be sure where it was.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on item 8.1, which is consideration to set a public hearing? Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
That's a first by Tony,
Second.
second by Jesse to set a public hearing for the voluntary annexation for 2560 Dolan Creek Road. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no? Okay. That brings us down to the claims and have a couple changes on the claims. One, there is an item that needs to be removed. I believe the company charged for something that they weren't supposed to. It's for $134.84. I'm not sure. Adam, do you know what page that's on? Because I'm guessing that question's going to come.
Page 3.
Okay, so on page 3, it's under buildings and ALSCO for $134.84. That needs to be removed. And with that being removed, it'll bring the new total for the claims to $875,407.33. And then also, we have a number of items, I believe it's on multiple pages, anywhere where it says Black Hills Pioneer under utilities, that is an error, and it's actually supposed to say AT&T and be utilities. So that's just a change. I'm sorry?
It's supposed to say what?
It's supposed to say AT&T. So that doesn't change anything with the cost, it's just what it was listed as. All right, are there any questions on the claims?
I have a question. So just for clarification, that 134.84, it's on there twice? Are we taking off both of them or just one of them?
I believe just one of them, correct, Adam?
Just one.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Any other questions? Is there? Okay, want to come on up so I can hear you clearly?
I'm not questioning the charge. Okay, there were two things. One was on page 1. There were 2 sponsors that canceled on the one of the rallies. I left the computer back there, so I can't look at it. We're refunding a sponsorship fee.
For the off-road rally.
Off-road, yeah. Is that, have we had that yet?
We did not have the off-road rally, and we are not having it. So if those sponsors had paid early, that's why they would be
Okay.
being refunded.
Okay, so they didn't bail on us, we just
No, we are not
didn't do
having it. Correct.
Okay, and then on page 7, it's just a $100 charge for 5 hours at the hospital. I'm just curious what 5 hours at the hospital is, what that means. It's close to the top.
Second one down.
Yeah. Was there an injury?
We pay reserves to sit on either mental patients or someone that's at the hospital. So while they're there waiting to be evaluated, we pay reserves to sit there for them.
Good, thank you.
Right.
Jody, that's a good practice because otherwise you're putting it on the hospital staff to.
Is there a motion on the claims?
I'll make the motion.
That's a first by Jim to approve the claims,
I'll second.
and a second by Nick. Any further discussion? From the public? Oh, go ahead and roll call this. Nick?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Ruth?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
And Tony?
Abstain.
Okay, so that was 6 yeses and 1 abstention. And those bills will be paid. Next, we have item 10. We do have the need to convene as the Board of Adjustment, so we will break from our regular meeting to convene as the Board of Adjustments. Does anyone on council have any conflicts of interest regarding any of the items to be discussed? Okay, not hearing any, we will move forward. Item 10.3 is consideration to approve a zoning variance to allow a mobile home in a medium-density residential area. And we have Dave.
Good evening, welcome. Sorry. Good evening,
Welcome
Board
to
of
you.
Adjustments. The first item before you is a consideration to approve a zoning variance to allow a mobile home to be placed in a medium-density residential zone. Josie Parent, who is now the owner of 2921 Van Acker Road, has submitted a zoning variance application to allow for a mobile home in medium-density residential. It's currently described as 1655 east, 140 of the north, 116.26 of lot C4, lot C east, 2 feet southeast of Sturgis, South Dakota. The lot is currently zoned medium-density residential. A total of 15 landowner response forms were sent out and signage was placed on the property. 7 of those were returned with approvals. Planning Commission did make a motion to recommend approval at this July 2nd meeting. Part of the reason for staff's recommendation to approve is this property sits in. There are a numerous amount of mobile homes surrounding it, and FEMA it's been vacant for quite some time. FEMA really would, in floodplain, would like to have a mobile home in there because skirting can blow out in high flood waters and not cause a rise on other structures. So it makes perfect sense for this.
Dave, I assume all the floodplain issues, FEMA issues, will be addressed.
They are.
Or are addressed.
Yes, we have an elevation certificate that the home will have to be placed at. The home will be skirted, so there's no flood proofing or flood requirement because the skirting will be able to be whisked away with any high flood water. So yes, all those have been addressed. And there is a picture in the packet of what the home will look like.
And that definitely dress up that intersection.
It will.
Any other questions for Dave? All right. Well, is there a motion?
A motion to approve.
That's a first by Tony
Second.
and a second by Jesse to approve that variance to allow the mobile home in a medium-density residential. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no? Okay, that passes. And it brings us to item 10.4, which is consideration to approve a side yard and rear setback, both variances, for 1706 Lozelle Street. Dave?
So the information on this. Oh. I do. The information on this, Mary Bryant from 1706 Lozelle Street has submitted the application for a side yard setback variance from 10 feet to 4.9 feet and a rear side setback variance from 15 to 5.8. On April 10th, 2024, the owner was issued a building permit to stabilize the existing garage. The owner states that the existing garage fell down and the owner then rebuilt a new garage in the same footprint of the previous structure. Due to setback requirements that now apply the new garage, a variance must be granted for the structure. And if you look through your packet, I believe there is a picture that shows where the old garage was sitting, and a picture of the new garage is in pretty much the same location, and it has made an epic improvement to the neighborhood and considering what was there previously. In considering variances, the Board of Adjustment must specifically address the certain criteria when determining whether to grant or deny the variance request. This criteria stems from statute and city ordinance. The board must address the specific criteria in their oral and or written decision, and that criteria is special circumstances or conditions exist, such as exceptional narrowness, topography, or relaxation of the zoning ordinance provides a quantifiable benefit to the city and the surrounding neighborhood. Strict application of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of any reasonable use of his or her land or create a hardship. More loss in value does not justify the variance. There must be a deprivation of beneficial use of the land. The variance provides the minimum adjustment necessary for the reasonable use of the land, and by granting the variance, it is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood, detrimental to the public welfare, or in conflict with the comprehensive plan. The signage was placed on the property May 22nd, 2024. 15 landowner response forms went out. 6 were returned, all with approval, no negatives. And again, it is a great improvement to the property.
Great, thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave on this one? Well, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
That's a first by Jim to approve that side and rear setback, and that was a second by Don. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no. All right, that is approved.
Thank you.
And that was it for our Board of Adjustments, so we will go ahead and adjourn and reconvene our regular council meeting. We are down to item 11.1 in public hearings. This one is consideration to approve a location transfer of the off-sale liquor city annex license. And if everyone will remember, this had to do with what we did during rally for the VFW, and there's a lot that had to be done with this. So this is regarding that. Does anyone have any questions, comments? Is there a motion?
Make the motion to approve.
That's a first by Jesse
I'll second it.
and a second by Tony to approve that location transfer, which would just put things back to the way that they were. Any further discussion? Questions, comments from the public? Okay. All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no. Okay, that one passes. Brings us to 11.2. And again, this is also the amendment to the location of the on-sale liquor license for that VFW situation during rally. Any questions? Is there a motion?
A motion to approve.
That's a first by Ruth.
I'll second.
And a second by Nick to approve that amendment of the location of the on-sale liquor license, and which again would put everything back to normal. All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no? Okay, that passes. Everything's back to normal with the VFW and our city licenses. That brings us down to item 12, reports. 12.1, at the developer's request, item 12.1 was actually asked to be tabled and moved to September 3rd. So with knowing that the developer wants to move this, is there a
to
motion?
table Till September 3rd.
That's a first by Kevin and a second by Jim to go ahead and table item 12.1 until September 3rd. And that is at the developer's request. All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no. Okay, that item is tabled. Brings us to item 12.2, and this is a discussion on ordinance 2024-05, and this would be an ordinance to repeal our code 190203, which is variances prohibited, and we have Dave here to explain that.
So, give you the background, our subdivision regulations, which are located in Title 19 of our code, the purpose of these regulations is to ensure that any new developments within the city are built to specific standards. These standards ensure that planned developments are standardized in community, and standards strive to minimize future issues. Many of these standards include addressing drainage issues, sidewalks, curb gutter requirements, lot sizes, and various other requirements. While in theory, standardizing subdivisions to create uniformity within the city is a commendable goal, this standardization is better suited for the flat areas of the community. The topography of the city contains both flat areas and hilly mountainous areas. This is due to being in a bowl-shaped area surrounded by the foothills of the Black Hills. These foothills create natural barrier for where development can occur. The topography of these foothills makes practical uniformity extremely difficult to impossible in some instances. The goal of repealing this section 190203 of our code is to eliminate the direct conflict between portions of the subdivision regulations and to provide the city a tool to promote future development. in these more difficult areas to develop, such as within the surrounding foothills. Even though Sturgis Municipal Code 190203 does not provide specific subdivision standards, the required process to amend the city's subdivision regulations must still be followed. The process involves Planning Commission hearing before moving forward with the proposed subdivision regulation amendments. On July 2nd, 2024, the Planning Commission reviewed repealing Sturgis Municipal Code 190203 and unanimously recommended approval the repeal to the City Council. Our subdivision regulations in Title 19 of the City Code provides that the Council's ability to grant variances to the city's subdivision regulations in limited circumstances. The variance is contained in Sturgis Municipal Code Chapter 1906. Variances to development standards. The city may grant variances in cases where extraordinary hardship exists because of the strict compliance with the subdivision regulations. This hardship may stem from unusual topography or other conditions beyond the control of the developer, which may make development impractical or nearly impossible. Sturgis Municipal Code 190203 directly conflicts with the allowances provided in the code in Title 1906. 190203 prohibits any variances to the subdivision regulations within any new development. Specifically, the ordinance states that any subdivision of land within the city or 1 mile thereof platted after January 1, 1993 shall not be eligible for variances under provisions set forth in this title, except so as to allow the approval of an experimental subdivision as provided in the Chapter 1906. 190203, the above provision prohibits the use of variances to any new development which does not meet the qualifications as an experimental subdivision. An experimental subdivision may only be utilized in a very limited amount of developments. To qualify an experimental subdivision, the proposed development must use unusual materials in construction requirement improvements or use a new or untried design concept which appears promising. While developers working in difficult topography must adapt their development to appropriately function in the difficult terrain, these adaptations usually do not use unusual materials to utilize a new or untried design concept. In the vast majority of the cases, these proposed developments do not fit within the experimental subdivision parameters. However, the proposed development also feasibly cannot strictly abide by the city's subdivision regulations. 190203 compels both the city and into a round hole. This variance prohibition effectively prevents development in the areas where development could be feasible with certain modifications to the city's subdivision regulations. The use of variances enables the city to practically adapt its regulations to fit into difficult terrain. Repealing 190203 provides flexibility for the city to use the variance tool in a more practical manner and to promote development in areas which could otherwise not be developed. By repealing 190203 does not open the floodgates and require the city to hand out variances to every developer. The city must still address whether the variance to the subdivision regulations are in the best interest of the city, whether the variance will not have the effect of nullifying the intent and purpose of the subdivision regulations, and whether the strict compliance will cause an extraordinary hardship on that developer. The council acting as the Board of Adjustments evaluates whether variance is necessary and under proper circumstances. By revealing 190203, the council eliminates a conflict provision under the city's ordinance and creates a tool to promote development in the limited areas left to develop. Are there any discussion?
Thank you.
That was a lot. Yes, thanks, Dave. I guess in a nutshell, it's almost like this ordinance that is up for consideration to be repealed almost conflicts with what we.
In a way, it does conflict with a different section of our ordinance. And by not allowing any new subdivisions after that, January 1993, to have a variance. It has created some issues in potential development. We'll use one up Sly Hill, Whiskey Ridge. That property is currently in the city, and they want to do development up there, but they would have required a lot of variances because it's a mountainous subdivision, so we would have had to give those, and they would have asked for them, but by the ordinance would have been impossible to give.
Perfect. Does everyone kind of understand that? Is there any discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
Just a quick question, Dave. In recent history, how many, just for information, how many subdivisions have not been through a planned unit development, a PUD?
I can't think of any that have not.
So how do those two factor together then? I realize, we are trying to clean things up, but honestly, it really probably hasn't blocked anything because a PUD allows us to go outside of our ordinances and set the parameters, correct?
It does, yes. That's another tool that we could have used as far as the PUD zoning for that, but they were asking for variances that we didn't want to give, or we couldn't give, what I'm saying.
Right, thank you.
And this did go through planning and zoning, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval.
Yeah, and I believe this is just, Madam Mayor, this is just for discussion
This
this
one's-
evening.
okay, sorry.
So it'll be, the ordinance section will be written, and we'll have to go through that process. So,
Any further discussion? Questions, comments, discussion from the public regarding this? Well, I guess we have it for discussion.
Thank you,
We'll move
everybody.
on to what's next. Okay. Oh, well, I guess what's next is executive session, which we do have a need for this evening. There is no anticipated action after executive session tonight. So is there a motion for exec?
I'll make motion.
That's a first by Jesse
Second.
and a second by Dawn. All those in favor to go into exec, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no? Okay, we will go into exec at 7:45. Okay, we are back in regular session, and all we have next is to adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn? That's a first by Jesse to adjourn.
I'll second.
And that's a second by Nick. All those in favor, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed with a no. Okay, we are adjourned at 9:20.